Opel Corsa.
The Opel Corsa is a supermini car engineered and produced by the German manufacturer Opel since 1982. It has also been sold under a variety of other brands and also spawned various derivatives in different markets. Its current fourth generation is built in Spain and in Germany. However, despite its global presence, it has never been sold in the United States or Canada.
Corsa in 1982 to 1993.
The front-wheel drive Opel Corsa was first launched in September 1982. Built in Zaragoza, Spain, the first Corsas were 3-door hatchback and 2-door sedan models, with 4-door and 5-door versions arriving in 1984. In mainland Europe, the sedan versions were known as the Corsa Trail until May 1985. The basic model was called just the Corsa, which was followed by the Corsa Luxus, Corsa Berliner and the sporty Corsa Senior. 6 years later, the Corsa received a facelift, which included a new front fascia and some other minor changes. The models were called LS, GL, GLS and GT. The Corsa A was known in the UK market as the Vauxhall Nova, as it was considered that Corsa sounded too much like Corsa, where it was launched in April 1983, following a 7-month-long union dispute due to British workers being angry about the car not being built there. It effectively replaced the aging Chevette, which was discontinued in January 1984. Power first came from 1.0L 45 horsepower, 1.2L 55 horsepower, 1.3L 70 horsepower and 1.4L 75 horsepower petrol engines. The first engines were all equipped with carburetors. Fuel injection came later, but never for the 1.0. The engines were based on the well-proven Family 2 design, except for the 1.0L and early 1.2L engines which were based on the OHV unit from the Cadet C. There was also an Isuzu-built, 50 picoseconds, 37 kilowatts, 1.5L diesel engine available, which was also used in the Isuzu Gemini at around the same time. The diesel joined the lineup in May 1987 at the Frankfurt show, along with the sporty XI. The engines and most of the mechanical componentry were derived from those used in the Astra Cadet. A rare sport model was produced in 1985 in order to homologate for the sub-1300cc class of Group A for the British Rally Championship. These sport models were white and came with unique vinyl decals, a 13SB engine with twin Weber 40D COE carburetors, an optional bespoke camshaft, a replacement rear silencer, and few luxuries. This gave 93 horsepower and a top speed of 112 miles per hour, 180 kilometers per hour, with a 0 to 60 miles per hour time of 8.9 seconds. These are by far the rarest models, 500 produced, and thus acquire a high market price if one does become available. A 1.6L multi-point fuel-injected engine with 101 picoseconds, 74 kilowatts, at 5,600 RPMs, 98 picoseconds or 72 kilowatts in the catalyzed version, and capable of 186 kilometers per hour, 116 miles per hour, was added to the Corsa Nova at the 1987 Frankfurt Motor Show, giving decent performance and being badged as a XI, Nova GTE in pre-facelift models in the UK. Later models were all called XI. The XI's engine mapping had been carried out by Opel tuning specialist Surma. A model with the 82 picoseconds, 60 kilowatts, 1.4L multi-point fuel-injected engine which was otherwise mechanically identical to the XI also became available as the Nova Shri in the United Kingdom. In January 1988, a turbocharged version of the Isuzu diesel engine was introduced, with power increased to 67 picoseconds, 49 kilowatts. The design was freshened in 1990 with new bumpers, headlights, grille and interior, but the car was showing its age against strong competition such as the Ford Fiesta and Peugeot 106.
Vauxhall Nova.
The Corsa A was rebadged as the Vauxhall Nova between 1983 and 1993, for the British market. It replaced the Vauxhall Chevette. All Nova models were made in Spain, with the first British customers taking delivery of their cars in April 1983. It gave Vauxhall a much-needed modern competitor in the UK supermini market, as the Chevette was older than the majority of its competitors, chiefly the Ford Fiesta and Austin Metro. Sales in the UK were strong right up to the end, but by the time the last Nova was made in early 1993, it was looking very dated in comparison to more modern rivals like the Peugeot 106 and Ford Fiesta. Vauxhall dropped the Nova name in 1993 when their version of the Opel Corsa B, and later models were sold as the Vauxhall Corsa instead. This was the second Vauxhall to adopt the same model name as the Opel version, the first being the Senator. A clever TV advert in 1986 featured the Los Lobos hit La Bamba playing in the background as trick computer technology allowed the Nova to drive over vehicles in a busy city. The Nova is becoming a less and less common sight on British roads with time. Many of these cars have been modified by younger owners and gained the car a strong association with chav culture. Worse still, many Novas have been targeted by joyriders due to the car's minimal security specification. Famous former owners of the Nova include Colin McRae and Sean Bean.
Corsa B 1993 to 2000.
In 1993 the Corsa B was unveiled, and in the UK, Vauxhall dropped the Nova name, with the car now being known as the Corsa. The following year, it was launched by Holden in Australia, as the Barina, replacing a version of the Suzuki Swift sold under that name. This proved a success, and was the first Spanish-built car to be sold in significant volumes in the Australian market. Four-cylinder power came from 1.2, 1.4 and 1.6-litre Family 1 petrol engines, as well as an economical 1.5L turbo diesel engine. Most cars received a 5-speed manual transmission, although a 4-speed automatic was also available with certain engines. In the first few years, a 4-speed manual was also available coupled to the smallest 1.2-litre engine. Unlike the previous model, there was no sedan version, but one was designed in Brazil for the Latin American market, as sedans were much preferred to hatchbacks. This was also introduced in South Africa and India. A station wagon, panel van and pickup truck were also introduced. The wagon version was sold in some European markets, including Italy, badged as an Opel. The Corsa also spawned a small coupe called Opel Tigra. 1.0L 3-cylinder and 1.2L 4-cylinder Family Zero Economy version was launched in 1997, and a Lotus-tuned suspension was added as well as an exterior refresh. The sedan model is still built and sold in Latin America as Chevrolet Corsa Classic. A budget version introduced for the Brazilian market, the Chevrolet Celta, has bodywork resembling the late 1990s Vectra and Astra. The Celta was sold in Argentina as the Suzuki Fun for a certain period. In 2011, GM stopped representing Suzuki in Argentina, so the Celta reverted to its original name under the Chevrolet brand. Argentinian production began in September 1997, where it was the first locally built Chevrolet passenger car since 1978. The Latin American Corsa received a light facelift in 1999, with smoother bumpers, and from April 2002, when the new Corsa 2 was introduced, the Corsa B began being marketed as the Corsa Classic. The sedan and wagon versions were produced in China by Shanghai GM as Buick Sail and Buick Sail SRV, respectively, until 2005. That year they became known as the Chevrolet Sail and SRV. In September 2006, Chile became the first country outside China to receive the Chinese-assembled Sail. It is called the Chevrolet Corsa Plus, available as a four-door sedan with a 1.6L 92 picoseconds, 68 kilowatts, engine. The Corsa Plus includes dual front airbags, anti-lock brakes, air conditioning, electric windows and central locking as standard equipment. In India, the hatchback, sedan and wagon versions were sold as the Corsa Sail, Corsa, or Corsa Joy, and Corsa Swing respectively until the end of 2005. The hatchback model was still being produced, and extensively marketed in South Africa as the Corsa Light under the Opel branding until 2009, at which point it was discontinued. In Thailand, Corsa available as Opel and fuel-injected 8V 1.4-litre engine and Joy and Swing variants, both available with 3 or 5-door manual or automatic.
Safety.
The Corsa was updated in 1997, resulting in different styling options and better safety features.
Mexico.
In 1994, General Motors de Mexico first marketed the Corsa B as the Chevy, which would quickly replace Volkswagen sedan as the people's favorite. For 2004, after the Corsa C was introduced, a Mexican-designed and produced version of the hatchback and sedan, known as the Chevy C2, was released, which is also sold in Colombia. All Mexican previous versions were known as the Chevy, with the names Monza used on the sedan, and Swing, 5-door, and Joy, 3-door, for the hatchbacks. The latter 2004 and 2008 redesigns were simply named Chevy and Chevy Sedan. The Chevy was a favorite among taxicab drivers and one of the best-selling cars in the country. The Chevy ended production in late August 2011 at the Ramos Arizpe assembly plant. This move is because the Chevy's sales have been dropping constantly since early 2010 and also because it doesn't meet with the new safety requirement rule in Mexico that forces it to have standard front airbags. The Chevy 5 hatchback was dropped after the 2010 model year, leaving only the 4-door sedan and the 3-door hatchback, this last one being the most popular model. The Chevy is now discontinued, with only a short run of 2012 models after almost 18 years on the market. The successor for the 3-door and sedan, the Chevrolet Sonic, will be built in Ramos Arizpe starting 2012 instead, while GM suddenly replaced the 5-door Chevy with the Chevrolet Spark.
Names and markets.
Opel Corsa, Europe, except UK, Vauxhall Corsa, United Kingdom, Buick Sale, China, until February 2005, Chevrolet Corsa, Latin America, Opel Corsa in Chile, Chevrolet Corsa Classic, South America, after the release of the Corsa C, Chevrolet Classic, Brazil, since 2005. Argentina, since 2010, Holden Barina, Australia and New Zealand, was replaced by the Daewoo Kalos from 2005, Opel Corsa Light and Opel Corsa Classic, South Africa, for the hatchback and the station wagon version respectively, Opel Corsa Sail and Opel Corsa Swing, India, for the hatchback and the station wagon version respectively, Opel Vita, Japan. Toyota already registered the Corsa name for one of their domestic models, the Toyota Tercel. Chevrolet Sail, China, since 2005. A new version was released in 2010, Chevrolet Classic, Argentina and Brazil, since 2011, for the Chevrolet Sail, Chevrolet Corsa Plus, Chile, for the Chinese-built Chevrolet Sail, Chevrolet Kelter and Chevrolet Prisma, South America, for the hatchback and sedan version respectively, Chevrolet Chevy, Mexico, for the 2004 Corsa-derived Chevy C2, facelifted in 2008. It was discontinued in spring 2012, Suzuki Fun, Argentina, for the Corsa-derived Chevrolet Kelter. Discontinued in 2011. Name switched to Chevrolet Kelter.
Corsa C 2000 to 2006.
The Corsa C was revealed in 1999 and introduced to the European markets in 2000. General Motors dubbed the new chassis Gamma and intended to use it in a number of other models. A sedan version was also offered in Latin America, South Africa and the Middle East. The Brazilian version of the Corsa sold in those countries featured a more conservative front end than its European counterpart. Brazil also offered a pickup truck version of the Corsa named the Chevrolet Montana, sold in some markets as the Tornado, which, as well as the sedan, was exported in completely knocked-down form to South Africa for local assembly. GM South Africa markets the hatchback simply as the new Corsa, and the pickup version as the Corsa Utility. Since 2007, the Corsa C sedan has been discontinued in South Africa. This car was 2001 Semperite Irish Car of the Year in Ireland.
Safety.
Euro NCAP test results for LHD, 3-door hatchback variant on a 2002 registration,
Mexico.
The Corsa C arrived in the 2002 model year as a 5-door hatchback, and was imported from Europe. But for the 2003 model year, the Corsa sold in Mexico began coming from Brazil and a sedan version was added. In 2005, the sedan version introduced a semi-automatic transmission called e-tronic because it was only offered in a 5-speed manual transmission. However, the e-tronic transmission was rapidly discontinued after the 2007 model year because of poor sales and technical flaws. For 2008, the Corsa was tweaked with a freshened grille, lights and a gold-colored Chevrolet logo. The Chevrolet Corsa C was discontinued in the Mexican markets in June 2008, leaving only the older and freshened Chevy Corsa B, and was replaced by the Chevrolet Aveo. However, Brazil kept the car until 2012, as the Chevrolet Corsa Final Edition, and with the sedan ending in 2011, and Argentina kept the car until 2010, while the Corsa-based Montana continued into 2010. In 2002, the Corsa chassis spawned a mini MPV called the Opel Meriva, development of which began under Opel and Roselsham. The Corsa C was manufactured and sold in South America. The production plant that produced this car model is located in Rosario, Argentina. The Latin American Corsa C featured the Opel-inspired Chevrolet logo with a golden booty instead of a chromed one. The new logo was first introduced in the South American market with the new Chevrolet Vectra.
Oceania.
In Australia, the car was launched to much fanfare from many motor journalists, and went on the Win the Wheels 2001 Car of the Year, COTY. Holden also imported the Shree version with the 1.8L Astra motor and uprated sport suspension including traction control, ABS brakes, a better tyre wheel combination and Irma body kit to produce a baby hot hatch Barina. The facelifted 2004 model was also imported. However, in December 2005, the Corsa C was dropped from the Australian and New Zealand Holden ranges as a cost-cutting measure by GM, and was replaced by the Daewoo Kalos, rebadged as a Holden Barina. Motoring journalists were scathing in their criticism of the new model, particularly the bland handling, lackluster engine and below-par safety features. The Kalos-based Barina was subsequently replaced with a rebadged version of the Chevrolet Sonic.
United Kingdom.
This Corsa was a huge success for Vauxhall in Britain, being the most popular supermini and second most popular car overall in 2002, 2003 and 2004. It was also Britain's best-selling supermini in 2005, achieving third place overall, but in 2006, the final year of production, it lost top place in the supermini sector after 5 years, and was overtaken by the Ford Fiesta. Overall, it was Britain's fourth most popular car in 2006.
Engine specifications.
The Corsa C was introduced with a 1.7L DTI Eco-Turbo diesel engine supplied by Isuzu, Circle L, with 75 horsepower, 55 kilowatts. This was later joined by the 1.7L DI Eco-Turbo diesel engine also supplied by Isuzu. The 1.7L DI Eco-Turbo did not include an intercooler, and this reduced power to 65 picoseconds, 48 kilowatts. From 2003 a new 1.3L CDTI Eco-Turbo diesel engine was supplied by Fiat, Multijet, which produced 70 picoseconds, 51 kilowatts, and a 1.7L CDTI Eco-Turbo diesel was supplied by Isuzu which produced 100 picoseconds, 74 kilowatts. This new 1.7L CDTI Eco-Turbo featured a variable geometry turbocharger. The 1.0L and 1.2L Eco-Turbo Family Zero engines are carryovers from the Corsa B. The 1.4L Family 1 engine was replaced with the new 1.4L Family Zero model. The 1.8L Family 1 engine is an upgrade for the previous 1.6L 16-valve engine and produces 125 picoseconds, 92 kilowatts, and 165 newtons by meter, 122 pounds by foot, of torque. The addition with the 1.8L engine was named Corsa Xi and was the predecessor of the new Corsa OPC. In 2003, Opel introduced updated versions of Family Zero engines with twin-port technology, and the 1.2L engine gained 30 cc's, giving it 80 picoseconds, 59 kilowatts.
Corsa D 2006 present.
The Corsa D was created using a new version of the SCCS platform, which was co-developed by Fiat and General Motors Opel, and is also employed by the 2006 Fiat Gran Punto. The first official pictures of the Corsa D were released by Opel in May 2006. In the UK, What Car? Awarded it 2007 Car of the Year. The Corsa D is available in both 3- and 5-door versions, and marketed as a Vauxhall in the UK. The same engine sizes from the Corsa C were available at launch, although the 1.3 LCDTI and 1.7 LCDTI engines were upgraded, with power ranging from 75 picoseconds, 55 kilowatts, to 125 picoseconds, 92 kilowatts. The 192 picoseconds, 141 kilowatts, OPCVX version went on sale in early 2007, with a 1.6L turbocharged petrol engine powering the front wheels. The 75 picoseconds, 55 kilowatts, 1.3 CDTI engine was updated in mid-2007 to bring CO2 levels to just 119 grams per kilometre, meaning that 12 months road tax in the UK costs PS30 and is eligible for the Plan 2000E, a rebate of EU 2000 in the purchase of a new car, in Spain. The car is also used as the villain car in Lights, Motors, Action. Extreme stunt show at Disney's Hollywood Studios. The Corsa D was briefly available in Australia under the Opel brand name, rather than as a Holden as the Corsa B and C had previously been, during Opel's short-lived foray into the Australian market. Less than a year after launching, Opel Australia announced it was ceasing operations, removing Corsa from the Australian new car market.
Safety.
Euro NCAP test results for LHD, 3-door hatchback variant on a 2006 registration.
FlexFix.
FlexFix is an optional integrated bicycle rack. It is essentially a concealed door that can be pulled out from the car's rear bumper. On it are two wheel-mount bike racks, rear license plate incorporated in the system, brake tail lights, indicators and fog and reverse light alternates in left-hand drive and right-hand drive cars. It is available as an option on exclusive, SE and SXi models in the UK.
OPC.
In 2007, Opel introduced sport version of Corsa tuned by Opel Performance Centre, OPC, Corsa OPC. Corsa have 1.6-litre 04 turbo engine with 141 kilowatts, 192 picoseconds, 189 horsepower, at 5.850 rpms and 230 newtons by meter, 170 pounds-by-foot, of torque at 1,980 to 5,850 rpms, with overboost function which boost up torque figure to 266 newtons by meter, 196 pounds-by-foot. 0 to 100 kilometers per hour, 62 miles per hour, time is 7.2 seconds and top speed is 225 kilometers per hour, 140 miles per hour. Differences with standard Corsa and interior are sporty Recaro seats, OPC steering wheel and gear knob, instrument dials with OPC background. At exterior there are different front and rear bumper with triangle-shaped exhaust, and wind diffusers. There is also OPC tail spoilers and skirts. Car have stiffer and lower suspension than regular Corsa. Standard rims are 17-inch and optional 18-inch. Corsa OPC is only available as 3-door version.
OPC Nürburgring Edition.
The Opel Performance Centre in 2011 launched a hardcore version of the Corsa OPC, Corsa OPC Nürburgring Edition. The engine is the same, 1.6-litre turbo, but it has been tuned to punch out 210 picoseconds, 154 kilowatts, 207 horsepower, and 250 newton-meters. 280 Nm with overboost function, of torque at 2,250 to 5,850 rpm. 0 to 100 km per hour time is 6.8 seconds and top speed is 230 km per hour, 143 miles per hour. New upgrades include Brembo brake packages, recalibrated ABS, traction stability management system, Remus exhaust, and mechanical slip differential, which in this segment of cars, supermini B segment, only have Mini Cooper JCW. Corsa comes with standard 18-inch alloy wheels and low-profile tires, lowered suspension, dual-tipped stainless steel exhaust and special Nürburgring badge B-pillars and inside-on gear knob and instrument dials. Also included is a new front spoiler, and different rear bumper. Corsa is available in henna red, grasshopper green, graphite black, available as matte color, and Casablanca white.
Engines.
Gasoline engines of Family 0, 1.0-1.4 and Family 1, 1.6, and diesel engines are derivative from Multijet, 1.3 and Circle L, 1.7.
2010 facelift.
The Opel Corsa boasted a new petrol and diesel engine lineup that fully complies with Euro 5 standards. The ride and handling were also improved. Engines were further improved from 2011 as start-stop was added to engines, with all engines expecting to get the technology in the future.
Hybrid.
At the 2007 Frankfurt Motor Show, Opel unveiled the Opel Corsa Hybrid concept, a coupe that combines a belt-driven starter and alternator with a lithium-ion battery.
2011 facelift.
In November 2010, a facelift was announced. A revised front end was the most dramatic difference over its predecessor, consisting of a new grille, a restyled front bumper and new eagle eye headlamps, introduced on the Insignia, which contained daytime running lamps standard across the refreshed Corsa range. Vauxhall versions gain the latest 2008 Vauxhall badge on the front grille, tailgate and steering wheel. A new Touch and Connect multimedia system from Bosch will be available as an option on certain Corsas, replacing the CD60 unit. Alloy wheels are upgraded on SXi, SE and OPCVX versions. Production is tipped to end in 2014, with the Adams-styled Corsa E due for release.
Corsa van.
The Corsa van is a van produced since 1994 based on the corresponding generation of the Corsa supermini. Corsa van variants of later generation Corsas have also been sold under the Opel Vauxhall brand.
Popularity.
From the first Corsa being sold in Britain on April 2, 1993, sales had reached 1,371,573 within 16 years of its launch, by which time the Corsa was in its third generation.